Little Red Riding Hood, illustrated by Rosie Butcher. Once upon a time, there was a girl called Little Red Riding Hood, who lived at the edge of the big, dark forest. Little Red Riding Hood had a grandmother who lived on her own in a cottage on the other side of the forest. One morning, Little Red Riding Hood set off to visit her grandmother for lunch, as she did every week. Little Red Riding Hood skipped along the path through the forest, but soon she became tired and stopped to rest under a tree. As she closed her eyes, Little Red Riding Hood heard a voice behind her. "Hello, little girl, are you lost?" "I'm not lost. I'm going to visit my grandmother, who lives in a cottage on the other side of the forest," Little Red Riding Hood replied. What Little Red Riding Hood didn't know was that she was talking to a big bad wolf. The big bad wolf wanted to gobble up Little Red Riding Hood right then, but he decided he would race ahead to her grandmother's cottage so he could gobble them both up for lunch. The wolf ran ahead until he reached Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother's cottage. He knocked on the door and listened. "Who's there?" called a voice from inside. "It's me, Little Red Riding Hood," replied the wolf. The wolf opened the door, and before Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother could even scream, he gulped her right up. Quickly, the wolf put on her nightcap and glasses and took himself up in bed. When Little Red Riding Hood reached her grandmother's cottage, she knocked on the door and called out, "Grandmother, it's me, Little Red Riding Hood." "Come in," said a voice from inside the cottage, so Little Red Riding Hood opened the door and went inside. Little Red Riding Hood thought that her grandmother looked a little strange, so she switched on a lamp near the bed. "Grandmother, what big eyes you have!" exclaimed Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to see you with, my dear," replied the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood crept a little closer. "Grandmother, what big ears you have!" gasped Little Red Riding Hood. "All the better to hear you with, my dear," replied the wolf. Little Red Riding Hood crept right up to the bed. "Grandmother, what big teeth you have!" cried Little Red Riding Hood, as the light gleamed off the wolf's teeth. "All the better to eat you with, my dear," shouted the wolf, leaping out of bed. Little Red Riding Hood screamed and swung her basket as hard as she could at a big bad wolf. The basket was very heavy, and it knocked the wolf right over. Just then, the door to the cottage swung open and Little Red Riding Hood's father arrived on his way home from woodchopping. Little Red Riding Hood told her father all about the big bad wolf and how he had eaten her grandmother and tried to eat her too. Little Red Riding Hood's father grabbed the wolf, squeezes his tummy, and out popped Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother. Little Red Riding Hood's grandmother was very happy to be back, and she agreed to come for dinner at Little Red Riding Hood's house. Little Red Riding Hood, her grandmother, and her father walked out of the cottage and pulled the door closed behind them. Very happy. The end.